I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores. I know I'm a little bit late, but I want to break down everything that happened yesterday in the day 3 of the 2025 Washington Commanders practice, man. Of course, I'm going to show y'all all of the clips that came from the practice, and we have to break down every single position group. And y'all know me, man, 100% transparency. We're going to talk about the good and the bad from everybody. I mean, most notably, the defense whooped up on the offense, but we got to dive into why this is actually a great thing. We're going to dive into all of that and everybody that had an impact, who was throwing the interceptions, who was catching the interceptions. Was it because of great coverage or was it because of miscommunication? We're going to dive into all of that. And also, I love the fact that Von Miller and Laramie Tunsil, two guys that we were really serious about getting, they're already showing why we were so serious about getting them. They're already showing some of the elite traits that we brought them over to come and utilize for this team and help us win a Super Bowl this year. So I can't wait to dive into everything, man. And just to let you know, we do not have practice today, as in Saturday, July 26th. So that'll probably at least give me some time to catch up and maybe talk about some other things in some other videos later on today, so stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and dive into this video right now, man. Before we do, though, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Appreciate y'all for staying tuned with everything and watching every video. Make sure y'all keep pulling up your one-stop shop for everything Commanders. And let's go ahead and get into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. And before we get into everything, of course, I gotta let y'all know, just in case if y'all weren't on the Commanders Kings live stream a couple of days ago, we will be live in person. Like, I'm even flying out to Virginia to do this. We are going to be live in person doing like our typical Commanders Kings show. Of course, since we're going to be in person, we're going to do some extra stuff that we don't normally do. So make sure y'all pull up for that, man. I'm super excited to announce that. I'm going to be promoting that everywhere, all of the time. So by the time, I mean, y'all better, first of all, the tickets are very limited. We only have 150. We're already down to a double-digit amount already being sold. So make sure that y'all go ahead and go get your tickets. I'm gonna include the links in the bio and in the descriptions of this video and everything. It's going down August 24th. And the doors open at 5 p.m. You better make sure you pull up. We will be live streaming like we typically do from the event. But of course, you gotta pull up. This is gonna be the first time all four of us have ever been around each other in person, so y'all gotta pull up for that, man. That's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be at the Crystal City Sports Pub in Arlington, Virginia, so make sure you pull up for that, man. We're gonna have a DJ, everything, man, so make sure you go check that out. I'm super excited, man. I mean, I don't think I've ever actually just been to, I've driven through Virginia, you know, going to Maryland and everything, going to New York, but I don't think I've ever like actually gotten out of a car and stepped foot in Virginia, so that's gonna be really cool just in the first place. And then also meeting a lot of y'all. And then, I mean, it's going to be my first time meeting Louis T, Rio Robinson, Ed Oliver, all of them in person as well. So I'm super excited. Make sure y'all pull up for that. Now let's go ahead and dive into everything that's going on with training camp. Well, also in non-actual practice news, the Commanders are preparing to sell some team gear at the park, because fans will be allowed to view the practice and attend the practice on Sunday, tomorrow, July 27th. So they already have the team store ready. I'm really excited about what I'm seeing right now. Shouts out to JP Finley for this footage. The previous picture that you saw was from Ben Standig, but JP Finley uploaded this and he made sure he got a good view of the Cliff Kingsbury inspired hats. I think that's genius. Like, if I were there on Sunday, tomorrow, for that practice, I would for sure get one of these. First of all, I do a lot of yard work, so I already need it just in general, but just the whole Cliff Kingsbury thing behind it, and then you have the Washington Commanders logo on it too, man. I need one of those. If I can order that online, I have to get one of those. So if you're going to that practice on Sunday, definitely make sure y'all buy up this team gear, man. It looks so great, man. They're doing such a great job with everything, not only just on the field but off the field as well. And also, speaking of Sunday, not only is it the first practice that the fans can attend, it's also going to be the first padded practice as well. So I'm super excited about that. Hey, I've heard some people say Tuesday. I saw Mitch Tischler say Sunday, so I guess we'll see when it actually happens. I'm just letting you know both that it could be Sunday, but I'm seeing some people say that they're not practicing the pads until Tuesday. So just be aware of that. And then you also have Commanders team president Mark Klaus, who pulled up to practice yesterday. Shouts out to him, man, because he's purely the business guy. For him to be out of practice means that he just loves this team. He's just so fully dedicated to this team. He loves even the football side of it. He just wants to pull up to a practice. I mean, if you're the team president and you have the opportunity to go to practices for free, even when fans are not allowed to because you are the team president, I would take full advantage of it. So he probably loves football, even though, you know, he has all of that experience for being the CEO and everything of Campbell's, and he's helping facilitate all of this stadium stuff we have going on. Everything on the business side, the guy you're looking at is the guy for all of that. So make sure y'all remember who Mark Klaus is, because he's very important as far as the Commanders' future goes, as far as RFK. Anything business side, anything off the field, anything non-football, he's your guy. Now, let's move on to the injury updates. And nothing too crazy, but Ben Standig and Scott Abraham uploaded these two clips of Noah Brown not only moving around and practicing and warming up and things like that, but he's looking really good. Like, especially in that second clip, I mean, he looks basically almost 100% to me. There looks like there's no hesitation. There doesn't seem to be any sort of like lingering injury that may be holding him back or anything. Like, he looks like he's a full go, which is just crazy off of, like, we were thinking just a couple of months ago that he may have torn his ACL. Maybe he doesn't even play at all this season. And then as soon as July comes, late July, he's moving like this. And this looks even noticeably better than the clip that he uploaded himself like last week, where he was doing some drills inside of some type of building facility that I showed y'all in one of my videos recently. So I'm just really encouraged with how healthy Noah Brown looks. Now moving on to the coaches. Even though we're going to be talking about some Dan Quinn quotes, these are Cliff Kingsbury clips right here that you're seeing. Just real quick little 7-second clip just of him walking around at practice again with the hat. I need that hat. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna have to hit up Cliff myself somehow, get in contact with him, and hey man, I need one of them hats from somebody. But Dan Quinn said that he expects a lot of red zone work throughout the day 3 of practice, and they in fact did that. They're doing a lot of situational football stuff. He also said that he wanted to try to create opportunities for unscripted plays. So he's trying to lean towards the skill sets and the advantages that Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota present as quarterbacks, where when things turn into backyard football and we got to make up something on the fly, that he wants to put them in more situations like that so they can continue to hone those skills, because that's a big part of football. I mean, schematics matter a lot, strategy matter a lot, but at the end of the day, sometimes the chess pieces got to make moves on their own. So I mean, the coaches can only do but so much. A lot of football is strategy. Football is honestly the most strategic sport in all of sports in human history. But at the end of the day, sometimes that strategy stuff is cool in the beginning. After a while, when you're 10 seconds into a play, that's purely just great players doing great things. And I love the fact that Dan Quinn is not only trying to really hamper down on situational football, but also honing, hey man, things are just flying. The bullets are flying. The coach can't save you. The headset is cut off. You got to make a play. I like the fact that, like, not only is our offense and specifically our quarterbacks getting work in that, but even our defense. So when they're going against mobile quarterbacks that are good at improvising, they're ready. They're like, man, we've seen it all. We go against Jaden Daniels every day in practice, so we're ready for any type of 8 seconds, 10 seconds into a play. We know what to do. We're not panicking. We're not, oh, we've never been in a situation before. I love it. I mean, Dan Quinn said that they're going to do a lot of red zone work in this practice that we're breaking down today. Again, it happened yesterday, especially in their final period. And he said that they focus a lot of competition as far as 11-on-11s by doing like a lot of second down and play it out sessions where it's 2nd and 10, and then both sides then have to adjust to the situation. Does it become 3rd and 4? Does it become 3rd and 9? Adjust, all of that type of stuff. I love it, man. I absolutely love how Dan Quinn is coaching his team. And JP Finley brought up a great point that it's late July, and Dan Quinn is already talking about and breaking down winning time moments. We're already in the situational football where we need this possession to win the game, and we're practicing things like that. It's July. And he talked about how we practice late game and late half situations every day. And to quote Greenberg, luck is the residue of preparation. Or even an even better quote, luck only matters when you're prepared to receive it. Like, and this team prepares itself as great as anybody else in the NFL. And it showed last year. All of them clutch situations. I mean, our defense had some bad moments in clutch situations, and that's one of the main reasons why we're working on this already. It not only helps your offense, but also helps your defense to learn how to defend against it. But our offense was extremely clutch. Jaden Daniels was a lot of that, but it was just the overall team, and Jaden Daniels already being who he was, I'm pretty sure Jaden Daniels was going to be a really clutch quarterback anyway, but working since January on waiting for those situations, ready for those situations, probably played a large role into that, and we're continuing that. I love the fact that Dan Quinn wants us ready for that. Instead of just doing the same typical stuff where we're just doing normal practice situations, he wants us ready for when the bullets are flying type of situations. And then Dan Quinn also said that there's currently no update on Terry McLaurin, of course, but when there is one, he said that he'll be pumped to share it. He said that he'll be excited. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls up with a Terry jersey to let us know. So just be on the lookout for maybe like a Dan Quinn press conference, and then he has on a Terry jersey. That should tell you everything you need to know before we even get the announcement that Terry is signed. But more than likely, we would know before Dan Quinn even gets to the podium. Now moving on to the quarterbacks. And again, I was so busy yesterday that, like, this is why I'm so late finally talking about what went down in practice yesterday, July 25th. Again, I'm recording this at July 26th. It's like 7 a.m. right now. I was busy, but the first tweet that I saw that was like, whoa, the offense had a bad day. So I saw Bleeding Burgundy and Gold tweet at 12 p.m. He said, just getting off, and it's apparently them boys had Jaden in the Matrix today. So I was like, wait a minute, Jaden Daniels had an off day? And it's crazy too, because Jaden Daniels' first pass of the first 2 days of practice were both touchdowns. In 11-on-11s, day one, it was a touchdown. In 7-on-7s on day two, it was a touchdown. But day three, his very first pass was a Sainristil interception. And I can't wait to get to the DB part of this video, man. That's probably the most fun breakdown of any position group that we're going to do for this entire video. And of course, Mike Sainristil enjoyed it. He added like a little bit of extra to the celebration. You know him and Jaden Daniels, they're always trash talking each other, so I'm sure he enjoyed that. But shouts out to Jay Daniels MVP for compiling everything, because I mean, the defense had themselves a day. Daniels tried to attempt to pass to Zach Ertz. It was tipped by Quan Martin, intercepted by Mike Sainristil. Marcus Mariota had a pass intercepted by Tyler Owens. Hey, man, that stock keeps rising. You know we got to talk about Tyler Owens. That's my boy. And then Daniels tried to attempt another pass to Zach Ertz, intercepted by Wagner. Boy, they weren't playing with Zach Ertz today. Shouts out to Bobby Wagner, too. He and Jaden Daniels are constantly talking trash to each other as well. So I know Bobby Wagner loved that one. Also, Daniels had a pass intercepted by Trinavian Amos. That one was apparently miscommunication. Again, when we get to the DB part of this video, we're going to dive into all of that. Sainristil also had a pass breakup on a KJ Osborne attempted pass that was behind the line of scrimmage, and we got to talk about later on why Jalen Lane was the reason why that play went so poorly. So we got to talk about, hey, Jalen Lane, hey, welcome to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Time to step it up. Time to improve if you want to play. And then Lattimore had a pass breakup on Chris Moore, who's been having a pretty good offseason. And Jonathan Jones also had a pass breakup on Jalen Lane as well. I mean, it was a really rough day for the offense. Now, granted, they still had their great moments. And we already know what this offense is going to be. We're going to be scoring 30-plus points a game. So I'm not worried about the offense at all. But to be hearing that the defense is stepping up is big time. And shouts out to, there was some random fan on Twitter under that Jay Daniels MVP post where he ran down everything that the defense did in practice yesterday. He said, this is not helping the sophomore slump allegations, bruh. Delete this. First of all, why do we care what anybody else thinks? That was my first thought. Like, what does that matter? Like, let people talk about Jaden Daniels having a sophomore slump. I truly hope people think and believe to their core that Jaden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump, because that's going to make it even more fun to rub it in their face afterwards when he doesn't. But also, maybe we can catch some people off guard. I'm hoping other teams are just thinking, for some crazy reason, you know, Jaden Daniels, best rookie season of all time in NFL history, and he's just naturally going to come down from that. So we don't necessarily need to take him too seriously. Please, I want people, the other teams, players, especially coaches, but also let the fans think like that, please. I need more of that, actually. But then Jay Daniels MVP also replied to that and brought up a good point that Mahomes threw 7 interceptions in training camp in 2018 and went on to win MVP and the Super Bowl. So, like, what are these? JJ Watt even put out a tweet like, why do people even track off-season stats, training camp stats, like it's stupid to him. And I agree. Like, I'm gonna give y'all the updates on like what's going on. Like, oh man, Jaden Daniels threw 2-3 interceptions today. Like, it was a weird day. Defense stepped up, and I feel like it's more so the byproduct of the defense being better than necessarily the offense getting worse. That's my firm belief in everything that's going on. Again, we're gonna dive into that real soon, but like, I'm not about to keep track of stats. I'm not about to be 3 weeks in like, oh, Jaden Daniels has thrown this many interceptions, this many touchdowns. Man, we're not doing that, man. It's practice. This is the time to experiment. There's things they're doing in training camp right now that they wouldn't necessarily do in a game where it matters, like regular season, postseason. We have to be as crisp as possible each snap. Jaden Daniels probably doesn't even attempt some of those passes. And then again, one of them was miscommunication, which we should have down pat, and we shouldn't have to worry about that by the time we get to the regular season. And then shouts out to Felix Chamel. He brought up an interesting point. He said outside of a Deebo run, the defense was really winning the day, but Daniel still had some good throws though. He didn't go out without a fight. You know what I'm saying? Jaden Daniels doesn't just have a complete bad day. Granted, he threw multiple interceptions, and again, at least one of them was a miscommunication problem that wasn't necessarily his fault in particular. But he doesn't go down without a fight. He's still going to have his great throws. He's still going to look like a top 5 quarterback throughout a practice at some points. It just wasn't the perfect day that we're used to seeing, where Jaden Daniels the ball doesn't touch the ground. Their DBs don't even have a chance to get their hands on a pass. Today just wasn't perfect, basically. But it was still Jaden Daniels doing Jaden Daniels things at times. And the defense whipping up on the offense, that's what you want to hear. I love the fact that the defense fought back. We all know Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback, and it's not even just a Commanders fan thing. This is well known. I mean, execs and coaches literally voted him the 5th best quarterback in the NFL already just like a week or two ago. And any person that like really knows football, that like really actually watches tape on everybody agrees that Jaden Daniels is at worst the 7th best quarterback in the NFL. But I love to hear that our defense doesn't just accept that and just assume that the offense will always beat them. No, they are fighting back and want to be better than the offense every day that they come to practice. I love that intensive competitive spirit from the defense to fight back, man. I mean, they over there like, I know Jaden Daniels is elite. That's cool and all. But we ain't going. He ain't about to go crazy on us every day. Maybe these other defenses in the NFL, but we gonna figure them out and we gonna shut this down. And that will only make Jaden Daniels better in return. That's literally what Jaden Daniels needs. I feel like that's more than likely what Jaden Daniels wants as well. I mean, somebody needs to make sure that he stays sharp and crisp and always trying to improve. He needs that motivation problem. I mean, he's already a very self-motivated person. But the defense whooping up on you on Friday, I wouldn't be surprised if Jaden Daniels comes out guns blazing, laser focused on Sunday. I would love to see that, man. We need that. And so I know Jaden is the last person that would allow himself to get complacent. But that extra push from the defense whooping up on him will only help, man. And of course, with Jaden Daniels getting better, that means the defense will only get better as well. So Jaden Daniels elite. The defense has to step up their game to stop him, to neutralize that. Then Jaden Daniels has to step up, take his game to another level to counter that defense. Now the defense has to counter that, and they just keep improving and making each other better. Iron sharpening iron type of situation, man. And imagine what this defense is going to look like going into the season after going up against a top 5 quarterback that's only getting better every single day. I mean, they're going to get to the regular season and feel like, man, they playing on easy mode. I mean, there ain't nothing that another quarterback can present to them throughout this regular season and postseason that they haven't seen or gone against with Jaden Daniels. Because we can't forget, not only is he basically like Tom Brady from the pocket, essentially, but he's also one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the entire NFL as well. There's literally like nothing a quarterback on another team can really throw at us other than like, you have like the Josh Allen who can just run you over, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You need a bigger guy to really tackle him. He's not the fastest guy, but he's also not easy to tackle. Or maybe like the Jalen Hurts and those guys with the tush push and stuff like that. But other than that, other than those very specific skill sets, and honestly, the tush push is more of like their offensive line is just ridiculous and the whole play design is crazy. I think Jalen Hurts does deserve some credit for being a really strong quarterback as well. Outside of those two like very specific things, this defense is not going to go up against anything that they hadn't seen every day all throughout the offseason. Shouts out to Sidonia Ave at KMBMoreX on Twitter. I agree. He said, we already know that the offense, what they'll be this year. So it's good to see that the defense was competitive today. it should really be an interesting one, especially once the pads come on. I can't wait as well. But again, like I said earlier, man, this offense is going to score 30 plus points a game. I'm pretty sure by the end of the season, like the overall stats, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have several games where we score 40 or more points. I'm not worried about this offense at all, especially once we have Terry McLaurin signed long term and he's back, he's happy, he's producing, going crazy and stuff like that. So to hear the defense is finally stepping up their game to compare to an offense that's destined to score 30 plus points a game, I think this defense may actually be something, man. I didn't want to hear all offseason our offense just dog walking the defense. To hear the defense is fighting back and stepping up their game to neutralize arguably the most explosive offense in the NFL that is going to be this year, mostly because of Jaden Daniels, I'm super excited, man. But then Seawall Sports pointed out that the offense started to respond at a certain point, man. They were too prideful, they're too good, they're too talented to just have a completely bad day. I mean, for them to have bad moments, that's probably why some people are overreacting like, wow, we had bad moments. But it's not like the offense had a bad entire day. Shouts out to Seawall Sports. I feel like she worded it perfectly. She said, Jaden Daniels did not have his best day today. He had what I now call good to know he's human day. He kept going through, kept working, kept asking questions, kept smiling most times. I mean, I love Jaden Daniels' personality, man. Asking questions all of the time. I love that. I mean, greatest rookie season of all time, and he's still asking questions. Love that. But good. Now I have a progress moment in time for both the defense and offense. This is like it feels like a canon event almost, because neither side is near their ceiling. Good stuff today, although it did not always look good. Again, they're making each other better. And David Harrison even pointed out the fact that later on in team drills, at some point after like the interceptions were going on, he dropped a nearly perfect dime right between Marshawn Lattimore and Quan Martin, who had their receiver bracketed. Like the receiver was covered. Great coverage, but Jaden Daniels apparently put the ball in literally the only place that it could have gone to where his receiver even had a chance. So again, you're gonna have moments where it's like, man, there's nothing the defense can do. Even when Jaden Daniels is not having his best day overall from beginning to finish, he's still gonna have those plays where it's like, yeah, this is clearly still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Now moving on to the running backs. And shouts out to Scott Abraham for providing this clip of Jacory Krosky-Merritt, man. That 7th round running back, I'm telling y'all right now, he's going to prove to be one of, and arguably the biggest steal of the 2025 draft, man. I'm stamping it right now. I've been saying it since we got him, but it's proven even better and better. His stock just keeps rising, and even with these clips he tweeted along with it, there's just something about Jacory Krosky-Merritt. I have a feeling the Commanders rookie running back is going to be special. He just jumps off the screen. Explosive, runs violently, and has fast feet. And Dan Quinn couldn't even help but notice. He's already making an early impression to Dan Quinn. And shouts out to Josh Taylor of A to Z Sports for wording this so well. He said, training camp is vital for rookies to learn the new systems on offense and become acclimated with the pace of the NFL. Krosky-Merritt hasn't wasted any time with the coaching staff on showing what he brings to the table. The traits he showed on tape in college are translating to the field for the Commanders already. And then you have Dan Quinn speaking about it. I think before practice, he said, it's the violence of the cuts. You know that he can get his shoulder square and get downhill fast. That's an exact quote from Dan Quinn himself. The head coach himself is talking about this 7th round rookie running back. He also said, quote, it's hard to evaluate in non-pads because you don't know if the person makes the tackle. Like, did he actually break the tackle? And he said running backs are sometimes the hardest, but what you can evaluate even without the pads is explosion on the cut. The assignment was the read correct, all of that, unquote. And it sounds like Jacory Krosky-Merritt is hitting a lot of the check boxes right there for Dan Quinn to be that excited and talking about him. I mean, these press conferences aren't that long. They don't run through the entire 90-man roster. Dan Quinn doesn't even talk about every starter in every press conference. So to take the time to talk about Jacory Krosky-Merritt, especially that many quotes from him, I'm telling you right now, buy stock now. It's only going to keep going up and up and up. You don't want to be late to the party, man. And also shouts out to Scott Abraham because he interviewed Jacory Krosky-Merritt after practice, and he pointed out the fact that he always has something to prove when stepping onto the football field. And he pointed out the fact that he was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school, and apparently Jacory told him, quote, I never looked at anyone else's race. I just ran my own race, just stayed down and kept working, unquote. I love Jacory's personality, mentality, everything. I like his interviews and all of that. So, I always check them all out. And then shouts out to George Carmen. He pointed out the fact that he said, I have a few fantasy football shares of Jacory Krosky-Merritt, one in the Dynasty League and one in the SFB 15. I can see him starting off behind B-Rob to start the season, but slowly turning into RBBC mid-season. It'd be wise for Quinn to simply play the hot hand. I wouldn't be surprised if Jacory eventually takes over as the hot hand, but don't sleep on Brian Robinson though, as you can see with these clips right here. And he's not doing anything special. I'm just showing you the Brian Robinson clips that were uploaded by the Washington Commanders official Twitter account. And you have Skylar Nelson with the second clip right there. But I want to talk about Brian Robinson real quick. Because even though I can't wait for JCM to take over as our lead running back at some point this season, and sooner rather than later, I still feel like people shouldn't sleep on what Brian Robinson can be running behind potentially a top 5 offensive line in the NFL this year. And this has to be the most motivated he's ever been since we drafted him. This is the last year of his contract, and why would he not want to do everything in his power to show this coaching staff why he should stay on this Super Bowl contender and re-sign for a few more years? Running backs just in general don't really make it to big long-term second contracts, but let's see what B-Rob does this year to earn his roster spot for 2026 and beyond. I mean, how long can he fend off JCM? I don't think it's going to be forever. And again, I'm rooting for it to be sooner rather than later, but I don't think we should just completely just overwrite B-Rob as if he's just not going to matter. And also, I feel like we're going to talk about it, especially when we get to the tight end part of this video, because when Ben Sinnott caught a touchdown pass, Chris Rodriguez apparently had a really good blitz pickup that allowed the ball to even be thrown to Sinnott in the situation. So great stuff, C-Rod, man. It sounds like our running back room is not only getting better talent-wise, but also even the guys that were already here last year, they're just improving in several different ways. Because Chris Rodriguez was not a good pass protector last year, and the fact that he's getting better there, hey, man, maybe that guy will actually make the final 53-man roster. I mean, maybe he'll force them to keep 4 rather than only keeping 3. We'll see. And then also moving on to the wide receivers. Shouts out to Skylar Nelson again for uploading this clip of the wide receivers working with Bobby Ingram, our wide receivers coach. And they were specifically working on footwork. That's one of the main reasons I really wanted to show y'all this clip. I like the fact that we're working on very particular things. We're not just running around catching passes. There were certain drills where they're specifically working on tracking the ball from over their shoulder. Again, like I keep saying, please, if y'all think it looks way easier than it actually is, please just go find anybody and ask them to throw you a football while your back is to them. Please, and just try to see how many passes you catch. And then also think about how much faster these quarterbacks are throwing the ball with their way stronger arms than the random person you just asked to throw you the ball. I don't think people understand how difficult that is, and I love the fact that Bobby Ingram has them specifically working on those skill sets where if it's a fade route, if you're running a deep route, whatever, and you have your back to the ball, you got to track it. These guys, that is like a skill set that is really hard for people to gain, man. That's really hard to coach up, and it's just one of those things you got to do over and over and over again to gain it. And I like the fact that we're even working on footwork as well. These receivers, if anything, I feel like this year they're going to be nuanced all the way from the receiver at the top of the depth chart like Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel to even the guys that barely made it onto the final 53-man roster. Even though we have a really competitive wide receiver room competition going on right now, especially for that 6th spot, but I feel like even whoever ends up winning that 6th spot will be a very nuanced, ready to contribute on Sundays type of wide receiver. And now, of course, with the offense struggling today, a lot of people, of course, jumping to the conclusion that it was mostly because Terry McLaurin wasn't there. A lot of people are saying that if Terry McLaurin was out there, maybe Jaden Daniels doesn't throw those interceptions. And I can understand going from that and thinking that, yeah, I mean, really, our receiving core overall and the overall offense will not be anywhere near as efficient as it was last year without Terry McLaurin. And I definitely agree there. I feel like it's a mix of that. And on top of that, the defense just taking the first 2 days personal and finally retaliating. But Terry not being there definitely matters. I mean, Jaden Daniels, a couple of those interceptions, maybe even if Terry's on the field, maybe he's not even targeting Terry, even if Terry's here, so they probably still happen. But Terry being on the field definitely matters, man. And then shouts out to Mitch Tisler for uploading this clip and saying, gotta practice those tight window sideline catches, especially with the quarterback as good at them as Jaden Daniels. So they have those practice dummies set up to kind of present like 2 defensive backs. You're like in between a small space where in between the defensive backs you're running full speed and you got a toe tap inbounds to make sure you come in with the ball before you go out of bounds. And I like the fact that we're practicing that. And Mitch Tisler brings up a good point that this is like specifically to the skill set of a Jaden Daniels. A lot of quarterbacks can't complete these, especially to the outside near the sideline. That's a very difficult throw for a lot of people. Some people don't have the the accuracy. A lot of people don't have the arm strength. Like, even as good as Kirk Cousins was for us, he didn't have the arm strength to make these throws in time. It would typically lead to a pick six. Jaden Daniels can. So these receivers have to practice things that other receivers probably wouldn't spend as much time honing in on something this specific. Where these sideline throws, you're covered. You got to be able to get through the coverage and still be able to tap your feet in bounds while running full speed. I love the fact that we're working on, again, very nuanced, specific things like that so that these guys are ready. But at the same time, Mitch Tisler, he quote tweeted himself and said, as these guys work this drill, some Terry McLaurin numbers from last year seem relevant, and Terry McLaurin was excellent in this situation right here. He led the NFL with 25 contested catches on the 5th most contested targets, which is insane efficiency. He only had the 5th most contested targets, and yet he still led the NFL in contested catches. Best contested catch receiver in the NFL, and you just cannot replace that with anybody that's on this roster right now. He also led the NFL in contested catch touchdowns with 9. Again, if there's any play that can tell you or show you that we can't do what we did last year without Terry McLaurin, we will not be as good of an offense this year without Terry McLaurin. Definitely get him signed long term. It's that Saints play where Jaden Daniels is running for his life and Terry McLaurin has to go up there and just grab this super contested catch to make Jaden Daniels right on that touchdown. And then also, QBs led the NFL in passer rating throwing to Terry in the contested catch situations also with a 130.8 rating. So basically, Jaden Daniels could just throw it up there somewhere. As long as Terry McLaurin's in the area, he's more likely to come down with the ball than any other receiver in the NFL in contested catch situations. That is insane, man. You need a guy like that. That's something that will also age well as well. Like, people talking about Terry McLaurin getting old. That is not something I'm worried about him losing within the next 3 to 5 years, honestly. Now, moving on. Here are these clips of Deebo Samuel and everything like that. The first one is a 15-second clip provided by Scott Abraham. Shouts out to him. I mean, I just love seeing Deebo work. And then Mitch Tisler again. But here, we're looking at Deebo Samuel. And most notably in the 7-second clip that Mitch Tisler provided, it's Deebo Samuel working on screen passes. There's also guys blocking for him on the screen passes as well. This is, of course, going to be his bread and butter. He's going to be utilized heavily, very close around the line of scrimmage, either right in front of it, right next to it, or right behind it. He's going to be making a lot of plays like that. And even though he's already great at it, they're still working on fine-tuning it and improving it. So I love that. And also, shouts out to Skylar Nelson. She brought up a great point. For those of y'all that think Deebo Samuel is slow, he's making it his mission to make y'all regret it every day. And I believe that's not only from hearing them talk, but also watching these practices, the people that are actually there at the practices. It looks like Deebo Samuel is extremely motivated. He looks fast. He looks sharp. He looks strong. He looks very fit. That 8% body fat thing may actually be a real thing. Like, that may actually be truthful. And then also, shouts out to Mitch Tisler for pointing this out and uploading this clip. Here, this time, you see Deebo Samuel being the one that's blocking for the screen, not the one actually catching the pass and running with the ball. And Mitch Tisler brought up a great point. As much fun as it is there's going to be to watch Deebo Samuel on the wide receiver screens as the one catching it, I'd hate to be the DB getting a crackback block from him. I mean, Deebo Samuel, remember, that's not his real name. He's called Deebo because of how big and strong he is. Imagine getting crackback blocked by him, man. So Deebo Samuel is going to be heavily involved in the screen game to where even sometimes they may use him as a distraction. He will not receive the screen, but he'll still be a part of the screenplay by being the one blocking. And with him being that strong and him literally, he has the name Deebo for a reason. That's going to be a scary sight for some DBs. Some DBs are not going to want to play the rest of the game after they get hit by Deebo Samuel that way. Now, moving on. Also, shouts out to Linnell Willingham. He brought up the fact that probably the catch of camp so far. KJ Osborne with a really nice concentration grab on the sideline with Percy Butler draped all over him. Shouts out to new money Percy Butler, who just caught that extension a couple of days ago going into 2026. And hey, shouts out to KJ Osborne for standing out. And then Linnell also pointed out the fact that Luke McCaffrey had a great catch on a slant with Trinavian Amos draped all over him. So great coverage. But again, the nature of the sport, which is why I say cornerback and quarterback are the hardest positions to play in football. But especially cornerback, because all of the rules are literally set up. The whole sport is set up for you to lose. Literally, Roger Goodell is hoping that the offense scores points because points lead to views, views lead to money, all of that. So corners are literally just set up for failure. Great offense is always going to be great defense. Trinavian Amos, any corner. The best corners in the NFL can do everything right. But if the quarterback throws a perfect pass and the receiver makes a perfect catch, there's literally no defense for that. So I'm just happy to hear that Trinavian Amos has great coverage. Even on plays where he allows catches, he's right there. He's all over it. Those are the signs of a really good corner. But also, shouts out to Luke McCaffrey for making plays. And then Skylar Nelson also let us know that the Jaden Daniels to Luke McCaffrey connection has been looking pretty good at camp so far. Definitely more to come, so be on the lookout for that, because remember, we kept talking about last year how Luke McCaffrey would be open, but while Jaden Daniels is progressing through his reads, Luke McCaffrey was typically like the 4th or 5th option, especially if like Zach Ertz was on the field. So there were times that Luke McCaffrey was open, but Jaden Daniels just didn't have the time to see him. The fact that they're working on their chemistry is big time. Now, also moving on, you have these clips of Michael Gallup right here. Shouts out to Scott Abraham and Chris Russell for these clips right here. And speaking of Michael Gallup, the reason that I'm showing y'all him is that Zach Ertz in his press conference said, quote, "Michael Gallup has been impressive. We're excited about that room with the wide receivers." So, and the fact that he just isolated Michael Gallup, I felt like was very impressive. And Zach Ertz don't just be talking for no reason, y'all. So if he says it, it's probably true. But at the same time, Ja'Cory Brooks been scoring touchdowns left and right in practices. KJ Osborne had a pretty good day yesterday, day 3 of training camp, which we're breaking down now. Again, Linnell said he probably had the catch of all camp so far. Then, I mean, that fight for the 6th wide receiver spot is actually going to be really competitive. But outside of Terry and Deebo, Gallup is the only receiver on this roster that has a 1,000-yard receiving season in their careers. And before practice even started, Dan Quinn also complimented Michael Gallup as well. He said before practice that Michael Gallup's length and ability to extend is what he's known for. It was good to see him make some plays yesterday. I love it. I love to hear it. So day 2, Michael Gallup had a pretty good day. And then Zach Ertz complimented him after practice on day 3. So he must be doing something right. And then you have these clips of Ja'Cory Brooks right here, provided by Skylar Nelson as again. And then Linnell pointed out the fact that Ja'Cory Brooks, even though I don't think he scored a touchdown today, but he still made some plays. Linnell said that he has some nice recognition from Ja'Cory Brooks sitting down in a soft spot of a zone. So Ja'Cory Brooks not only scoring touchdowns, but he's showing that in zone coverage, he can find an opening and make himself available for a quarterback to deliver him the ball and gain some yards. So this is a very nuanced receiver. I'm really excited. And now you're looking at a clip of the wide receivers going through drills provided by Chris Russell. And we have one last thing to say about the wide receiver group. Zach Selby pointed out the fact that, hey, newcomer Tay Martin had a nice play. You know what I'm saying? Remember, we signed a TM to a deal, but it wasn't Terry McLaurin. It was Tay Martin from the DC Defenders. He got open near the sideline before turning it upfield. Josh Johnson was in at quarterback. So Tay Martin's out there with like the 3rd or 4th stringers, but still the fact that he's making plays, hey man, Tay Martin, you know, it's not impossible. It's not likely, but it's not impossible for him to push for a roster spot. We'll see. It's very, very unlikely, but I'm not counting anybody out. Who knows what type of offseason he has? He just has to work his way. I mean, he's fighting. He's probably last on the depth chart out of all of the wide receivers. He's the most recent addition for a reason, but hey, man, you never know. Now, moving on to the tight ends. Shouts out to John Combs for uploading this clip and also pointing out the fact that this is what Zach Ertz does every practice. He did it last year as well. Works with tight end coach David Rah on his get-off specifically. Probably no coincidence that he remains productive. And then he also went on to add to that tweet that this is during special teams works. You know, tight ends typically work on this just in general, but while during special teams, for you to just be one-on-one with the tight ends coach working on this and you're already this deep into your career just shows why he is as productive as he is. He's never complacent. He's always trying to get better. John Com even said, but not everyone who isn't involved in special teams does extra work during this period. Most people take breaks. And apparently Zach Ertz does this all the time. It's very noticeable. He also runs sprints. McLaurin will catch a lot of passes off target, all of that type of stuff too. So Terry McLaurin is typically one of those guys that's working while everybody else is taking a break during special team unit stuff. Zach Ertz and Terry McLaurin are typically the guys that are working. Zach Ertz, even though Terry McLaurin isn't there, still working. Also, shouts out to Disco. He pointed out the fact that Grant Paulson, looking at Zach Ertz's contract this season, he doesn't have the incentive-laden deal like last season, which leads me to believe the Senate will be weaned into the offense more as the season progresses. Hey, man, that's an interesting observation right there. But speaking of Ben Sinnott, he's finally starting to make some plays. Apparently, Ben Sinnott had an impressive touchdown grab near the end of practice during red zone drills. Again, this is the play that I talked about earlier, briefly mentioned, where Chris Rodriguez was the reason that this play was even able to happen. He had a really good blitz pickup. With Mariota directing the offense at the goal line, Sennett plucked the ball out of the air before rolling into the ground in the end zone. The Commanders drafted Sennett with the hope that he would grow into an all-around tight end. He needed time to grow during his rookie season. He was an elite blocker as a rookie as well. But head coach Dan Quinn said that he was excited for his progress in year 2, and plays like that justify the excitement. And now lastly, for the offensive line, before we move on to the defensive side of the ball, and you're going to see clips of Laramie Tunsil for the first 2 clips. One of them provided by Natalie Spalla, the other one provided by Scott Abraham, and then you're going to see Samuel Cosme in a clip provided by Scott Abraham as well. But we're here to talk about Laramie Tunsil. Zach Selby said, "It seems like things are going very well for Laramie Tunsil as he gets acclimated to the Commanders' offense. He had a strong pass blocking rep against Dorrance Armstrong, who tried to spin away from the multi-year Pro Bowler. Also, at a certain point, Tunsil mirrored Armstrong step for step, which is exactly what the Commanders were hoping for when they traded for him. And everything that I'm hearing from the practice, apparently Laramie Tunsil looked like a perennial Pro Bowler out there. It literally showed you why they went through all of that trouble to trade for him. Like, that boy Laramie Tunsil is showing you why the Commanders are why I'm so excited about this offensive line and truly believe that it could be a top 5 offensive line. Laramie Tunsil is one of the main reasons for that, and he's already showing that within just his second training camp practice. Because remember, he had a day off from the second practice, so he was there practice day 1, and then now he's there day 3 yesterday, and he's already looking elite. He's only going to just keep getting better and improving it, and the defensive line sharpening their tools is only going to make them better as well. And then him being so great is going to make the defensive line better. I mean, we got to figure out how to get past this top 100 player in the NFL, top 3 tackle arguably in the NFL, top 5 at worst. Once we figure out how to get past him, we can get past anybody. Also, Chris Paul was getting some work with the first team O-line in practice yesterday, but I'm pretty sure that's nothing to read too much into. Again, Dan Quinn already told y'all with the breakdown of day 2 of training camp practice that, like, we're working on a bunch of different alignments and different personnel groupings and things like that. So don't read too much into them. We're trying to give everybody a chance to play with starters and against starters to really see where they belong at. And then also lastly, Dan Quinn before practice said that Josh Connolly had a, quote, more professional attitude, unquote, than they noticed even pre-draft, and also what they heard about him from Oregon. So this guy came into the NFL extremely mature. He has probably the biggest baby face that we have on the roster, but he's a very mature guy, and I love it. Now moving on to the defensive side of the ball, you also have, according to John Keim and Skylar, the Commanders' offense was off to a slow start yesterday, and the defense looked strong. On the other hand, you had Mike Sainristil, Tyler Owens, Bobby Wagner all getting interceptions and 11-on-11 drills, of course. We got to dive into it. John Keim even said a rough day for the offense, which means a good day for the defense, of course. And then Zach Selby said after 2 strong days from the offense, and now mind you, I feel like we do need to point that out. The offense clearly won the first 2 days of training camp practice. So I love the fact that the defense responded in day 3. The defense bounced back with an exceptional performance on Friday. They started the day with plenty of energy, and that carried into 11-on-11 and 7-on-7 drills. On the first play of team drills, Quan Martin tipped the pass intended for Zach Ertz, and Mike Sainristil grabbed it for the interception. Zach Selby even said the defense came to play. They have a bunch of energy and we're hyping each other up after every play. And I love to hear that. You could just even picture that. After every interception, after every pass breakup, after every what would have been a tackle, even though we're not allowed to make contact right now, they're hyping each other up. And I love that spirit. I love that energy that's going to carry on into the regular season and the postseason. And that's going to be one of the main reasons our defense is way better this upcoming season than they were last year. Now moving on to the defensive line. Shouts out to Seawall Sports and Bowie TV Sports for uploading this clip of the D-line going through drills. And hey, man, Daryl Tapp has a different level of energy, man. But while we're here, John Keim wrote in an article breaking down what he saw at practice from Friday, July 25th, again yesterday, day 3. He said it's been evident early in camp how much Washington wants to move its defensive pieces around this camp, notably along the defensive line. The Commanders will provide a variety of looks, at times lining up pass rushing linebackers Frankie Louisville and Jacob Martin next to each other with Von Miller on the other side. And they've even used defensive end Dorrance Armstrong inside in pass rush sets, and they've used Javon Kinlaw as a defensive end in their 3 tackle alignments. They're getting really creative. I'm super excited about what this is going to look like throughout the season, man. And he said they lack a dominant defensive lineman like individual, but Coach Dan Quinn said, quote, I just like having a deep crew of guys that can be versatile and do things, unquote. And I feel like, I mean, that's a good point. We may not necessarily have a Myles Garrett, but we're so deep at defensive line, D tackle, and edge rusher that an offensive line never gets a break. When one of our defensive linemen sits out just to catch his breath, to gain his stamina back, to rest a little, the guy that comes right back out is just as good. And so an offensive line is going to be worn down. By the time we get to the third and fourth quarter, I think we're going to be getting a lot of second half sacks this season because offensive linemen are going to be tired. Offensive linemen never come out of the game. And for our defense to be such a heavy rotation, we don't have to force anybody to play longer than they should. Everybody can keep fresh legs, keep fresh stamina, and come in being as efficient as possible, being at the height of their stamina and their efficiency. I'm just super excited, man. I think on a per snap basis, our defense is going to be way better than it was last year, especially pass rush wise. And speaking of that, Von Miller apparently had a really nasty inside spin move on Andrew Wiley while he was the first team right tackle at some point in practice today, because of course Laremy Tunsil just starting left tackle. Wiley is still currently your starting right tackle until Josh Connolly officially wins that job, even though Josh Connolly did start at right tackle on day 2 of training camp because Laremy Tunsil sat out and they moved Wiley to left tackle. But out of the way, most importantly, Von Miller showing you Von Miller things already. Poor Andrew Wiley was not ready for that one, man. And Andrew Wiley was a solid right tackle for us last year, and Von Miller just made him look silly. And I love to hear that because, first of all, Andrew Wiley's not going to be our starting right tackle. It will be Josh Connolly, and I think it'll be sooner rather than later. But I mean, to hear Von Miller, again, we talked about how earlier Laremy Tunsil's doing Laremy Tunsil level things. Von Miller's showing you Von Miller level things as well. And then also shouts out to Mitch Tisler. He did an interview with Dietrich Wise, who is a veteran in his own right. Been there, done that. Won Super Bowls with the Patriots and everything. Has been a really good edge rusher for the last few years. We brought him over. He got to talk to Dietrich Wise, and he said that his approach to getting to practice early, and he also talked about his insight on Von Miller. It was great. He said, quote, when Von Miller talks, I take notes, unquote. And I love to hear that about Von Miller, man. I mean, that's one veteran to another. I think Dietrich Wise is like 31 years old, somewhere around there, and he's talking about Von Miller like that. Like, there's levels to this, man. Also, shouts out to Von Miller because he posted a picture of Sean Taylor to his IG story, and he even had Wale's Ambition playing in the background. So, hey, man, I think Von Miller is fully ingratiated into the DMV culture. I'm wonder if he's already tried mumbo sauce. I mean, again, we talked about breaking down day 2 of practice in his press conference that he was like, man, I love the food here. He wasn't necessarily talking about mumbo sauce specifically, but he was like, yeah, I mean, Buffalo had some interesting options, but they're way more limited compared to what DC has. So I know Von Miller's having fun not only on the field, but off the field as well. Now moving on to the linebackers. And even though this is a clip of Frankie Louvu, we're here to talk about Bobby Wagner. So Wagner got himself an interception off of Jaden Daniels at some point in practice, and this came during 7-on-7 drills. It was a pass intended for Zach Ertz, like I mentioned earlier. It was the second of 3 Jaden Daniels interceptions of the day. And Dula said that Bobby had to do like a full extension to get the pick. It wasn't an easy one. It didn't just go straight to his chest. And he said that he also looked like he was 10 years younger. And of course, Jaden Daniels is going to hear about that after practice. And I'm sure he did. Bobby Wagner and Jaden Daniels are always talking trash. It looks like literally an older brother, younger brother type of thing where they're always trolling each other, being petty. I love it, man. And then shouts out to Linnell Willingham. He said, cool thing to see in year 2. Dominique Hampton and Jordan McGee making calls at the line of scrimmage. I love that. So we're not just going to only depend on Bobby Wagner to be the quarterback of the defense and to be the complete brains of the operation on the defensive side of the ball. We're also trying to get those young guys to get acclimated to doing and handling those responsibilities as well. So I absolutely love that, man. Keep that going. I love what we're doing. Shouts out to Ken Norton Jr., Dan Quinn, and Joe Wood Jr. for getting that out of the linebackers. We're going to make sure these younger guys look like and play like veterans. We don't care if you're just going into year 2. We need you to look like you're going into year 8. Now moving on to the cornerbacks. And shouts out to Skylar Nelson for this clip. And not only the clip, but also the tweet with it. She said, here's a quick clip of the DBs working on some drills before 11-on-11 started. She said, side note, Marshall Lattimore and Mike Sainristil were working together a lot today. And it's always good to see guys in the same position group working to make each other better. I love to hear it. You love to see it. And then shouts out to Sidonia Ave. He replied to DC Sports Dre. DC Sports Dre, first of all, said, the most promising thing I've heard from TC so far The top 3 corners on the team are all making plays. Sidonia replied, and first of all, I agree with that, and I love to hear it too. Sidonia replied, both the linebackers and cornerback units were arguably dead last at the end of 2023. Now, that has the potential to be among the best going into 2025. What this front office has done with this roster is nothing short of a miracle. And I think when he said linebacker, maybe he meant edge rusher, I don't know. But the cornerback unit especially was atrocious, especially before we traded for Marshawn Lattimore. And even then, we traded for a 2-strained hamstring version of Marshawn Lattimore that was not very good. I think we're going to see a completely different version of Marshawn Lattimore this year. I'm super excited. And then Felix Trammell even replied to it and said, actually, it's been like 5 corners making plays. It's not just the 3 starters, it's the backups with Noah Benachini and Jonathan Jones as well. And then as you can see in this clip right now, that boy Trinavian Amos got him one. Now, granted, this is one of the ones where people are saying that it looked like it may have been like a miscommunication from Jaden Daniels, but either way, Trinavian Amos came away with an easy interception on a 4th and 1 simulation after a rushing touchdown, and Chris Russell said that he's also had a really good first 3 days. Trinavian Amos, I really want to emphasize the fact and reiterate that he is the only rookie starting immediately. Even Jaden Daniels had to go through this semantics and have to earn his roster spot over Marcus Mariota as a starting quarterback. Josh Connolly right now is having to earn his spot over Andrew Wiley. All of the rookies right now of this 2025 draft class, nobody's starting. I mean, I guess you could say Jalen Lane maybe is the punt returner, but Trinavian Amos is the only one that's starting on the offensive or the defensive side of the ball right now, which is insane because Dan Quinn really preaches and lives by competition and having to earn your spot. The fact that they gave us a Trinavian Amos out the gate day one tells you everything you need to know, and the fact that he's out there making plays and looking like a seasoned veteran already, beautiful. We're only 3 days in the training camp. And also shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Gold because he brings up a good point. He said, yeah, you better crop my goat out throwing that interception. And hey, that's a good point. It's funny, but hey, man, you can see that they did not show who threw the ball. You know it's Jaden Daniels, but they didn't show it. You just see Trinavian Amos coming away with the interception. And also Chris Russell pointed out the fact that Amos, after practice, said that he and Will Harris communicated pre-snap on their end, which is what led to the open interception. A breakdown by the offense, yes, but also defensive communication matters. I love to hear it, man. No more wide open defensive breakdowns, man. And also shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. He said Trinavian Amos had to play wide receiver at some point in his life, man. He understands route concepts so well. I've been going back to his film this week, and I don't even want to tell y'all what he looks like, man, because y'all gonna call me crazy. Again, I would love to know what he's talking about, because I can think of some comps right now where you may call me crazy too if you hear who I think Trinavian Amos may be, and I'm wondering if Bleeding Burgundy and Gold were on the same page. And then also you have this clip right here, Marshawn Lattimore warming up. And shouts out to Linnell. He said that Marshawn Lattimore continues to impress. He had a nice pass breakup on the goal line. He's been having a really good training camp as well. And then moving on to Mike Sainristil, Zach Selby said that he was all over the field on Friday. Not only in coverage like a typical cornerback would be, but then he also blew up a pass intended for KJ Osborne behind the line of scrimmage, which earned a few daps from Bobby Wagner. And shouts out to Linnell Willingham because he said it was great coverage by Mikey on a Deebo slot fade as well that made Jaden Daniels forced to make a perfect pass. He didn't, so it was incomplete. Under normal circumstances, if the receiver were open, it would have been a completed pass. And Jaden Daniels made a good pass, just not the perfect pass. And Mike Sainristil's coverage was just that great to where the pass ended up being incomplete. And then John Com even said cornerback Mike Sainristil continues to have a strong camp. On the first pass Friday, day 3, he was the one that got that interception on Jaden Daniels, which was initially tipped by Quan Martin for an interception. He worked often against Deebo Samuel throughout practice as well in the slot, and has shown the ability to be physical with one of the most physical wide receivers in the entire NFL. And that Sainristil interception, again, was Jaden Daniels' first interception of the entire training camp. I don't think people have really sat back and thought about that. But going back to that screen pass where Mike Sainristil blew up the KJ Osborne pass, apparently Jalen Lane, JP Finley said, learned how physical Mike Sainristil can be. Nothing crazy, but DB's just flying to the ball today. And it was a situation where Mike Sainristil ran through Jalen Lane basically to get to KJ Osborne to blow up that screen. So, hey, man, Jalen Lane, welcome to the NFL, man. It's time to step up, man. You got to get that weight up. You got to get that strength up, man. You have to gain that play strength and work on your blocking if you want to be on the field on offense. You know, Cliff Kingsbury's offense is way too screen dependent to have a receiver on the field that can't block. So Jalen Lane, it's time to step it up, man. Time to improve. But also, again, Mike Sainristil with that interception that he had on Jaden Daniels after the Quan Martin tip. So Quan Martin really is the main reason that the play happened, but Mike Sainristil ended up getting the interception. Of course, he ran it all the way back for a touchdown, which, I mean, who knows, in a real game situation, maybe he would have been tackled, maybe he would have never made it, but he enjoyed the moment. He relished the moment. He ran it all the way back for a touchdown. Of course, he did a Dion high step as well. Like, he really soaked the moment, milked it and everything. And of course, you know Mike Sainristil is going to let Jaden Daniels hear it after practice. Mike Sainristil and Jaden Daniels are always going back and forth, even as far back as last year, early on. And like this time last year, Mike Sainristil and Jaden Daniels were already going at it. I think Mike Sainristil even said something to the extent of like, Jaden Daniels is always bringing up how trash Michigan is and stuff like that. Like just all kinds of just really fun rivalry trash talk type of stuff. Like real brother stuff. So the Mike Sainristil getting that interception on Jaden Daniels, you already know that did not go too well for Jaden Daniels during practice and after practice especially. And I also want to point out the fact that Mike Sainristil, going back to the physical part, about how he out-physical Jalen Lane and he's keeping up with Deebo Samuel, even making things hard for him. He's already arguably one of the most physical wide receivers in the entire NFL. I do want to point out the fact that Mike Sainristil was already physical coming out of college, but when you think about it, he probably got way more physical and aggressive after spending almost an entire year at outside corner in the NFL. When we had to go up against guys like Mike Evans twice, A.J. Brown 3 times, and all sorts of really good and especially physical wide receivers. So he probably gained outside corner level of physicality, but now he's going back into the slot, his more natural position. So it's just only made him better, man. And even going back to the Sainristil enjoying that interception and talking trash to Jaden Daniels and celebrating and stuff, apparently, he also dropped an interception yesterday, so I'm sure that he was also happy to finally finish a play today and finally get the interception that he felt like he'd been deserved. And I'm telling you right now, man, that Commanders will have the best cornerback room in the division stock. I mean, again, in the division at least. That stock is starting to rise for real, man. And I'm not only talking about the starters, I'm talking about the depth is insane as well. Because Jonathan Jones had a nice pass breakup while covering Jalen Lane at some point. And again, that's another welcome to the NFL moment for Jalen Lane. I've heard he's had a pretty good camp, but at the same time, he's just had these moments where it's like, yeah, he looks like a rookie. He looks like a 4th round rookie at times. You got to improve, man. You got to get open better. You got to be ready to block better. And then before we move on from the corners to the safeties, shouts out to Mitch Tisler for uploading this clip right here, and attached to it, he's talking about how Mike Sainristil and Marshawn Lattimore helping each other get better. Again, shouts out to Skylar Nelson for pointing it out earlier, and Mitch Tisler pointing it out right here. Just kind of bookend clips of Mike Sainristil and Marshawn Lattimore literally doing everything that they can to make each other better. I absolutely love it. Now moving on to the safeties, and shouts out to Skylar Nelson. She pointed out the fact that on the 3rd play of 11 on 11s, Tyler Owens grabbed a pick. And hey, man, this is definitely a guy to keep an eye on because he's been making plays, man. Remember, he was out there against the first team defense day 1 of training camp. And then day 3, he was out there with the twos, the backups, going against Marcus Mariota with the second team defense. And then he grabbed an interception. So when he's out there with the backups, he's getting interceptions. When he's out there with the starters, he's holding his own. Tyler Owens is definitely some stock to buy into. But also, again, I want to remind y'all that was the 3rd play of team drills. You had the Jaden Daniels interception tipped by Quan Martin, caught by Mike Sainristil. So the starters come out, the backups immediately come in. Marcus Mariota has 1 play, and I'm not exactly sure what the result was, but immediately after that, the second play, which is the 3rd play between both quarterbacks, was an interception where Tyler Owens jumped the pass. So it wasn't even some sort of like miscommunication or something like that. It was just Tyler Owens making a great play. And this isn't your typical backup quarterback too. I really want to emphasize that. Mariota was really good for us last year when we really needed him to be. And Tyler Owens just isn't getting interceptions off of guys like Nathan Peterman or something like that. Mariota is arguably one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And Tyler Owens is earning his plays that he's making. And I mean, he literally jumped a pass, and of course, he took it all the way to the end zone. That's what DBs are going to do. So to him, he had a pick 6 in practice. And I'm happy to see him not only making plays, but also enjoying the plays that he's making. I'm telling y'all, watch out for Tyler Owens, athletic freak, alien. According to Relative Athletic Score, the most athletic player on our entire roster, one of the most athletic players in NFL history, according to his perfect 10 Relative Athletic Score. So if he can start to get the nuance stuff down, hey man, watch out. Potentially a Pro Bowl level safety we brought in as an undrafted free agent. Now moving on to special teams, the only update that I have for you is that Disco brought up a good point. He said, I think an underreported story is how the Commanders have prioritized special teams. And I've been talking about this. Y'all have heard me talk about this several times in several videos. But he said they have guys like Jeremy Reeves, an all-pro, Percy Butler, who we just extended for his special teams prowess. Nick Bellore led our teams in special teams tackles last year. And Tyler Owens. I'm telling you right, and remember, Tyler Owens had to be double team. And I keep telling y'all about this. All-pro Revo, extended Butler, led team in tackles, special teams tackles Bellore, and double team required Tyler Owens. Man, this is one of the best special teams units in the entire NFL. Thank goodness we finally have a Pro Bowl long snapper that we got last year, and we finally have a kicker that can make everything 49 or shorter this offseason. Now, before we go, we also have some other reviews from everybody that went to practice today, starting with Skylar Nelson. She said quick takeaways from day 3 of training camp. She said the defense had a great day. The offense had some struggles. She also said Mike Sainristil is emerging as a beast on the field. I mean, out of all of those alphas we have on the field, from top to bottom, D-line, linebackers, corners, safety, everywhere. Bobby Wagner, Von Miller, Dietrich Wise, Javon Kinlaw, out of all of those guys, Marshawn Lattimore, Trinavian Amos, who's everybody's hyped about. She pointed out that Mike Sainristil is emerging as a beast on the field. He's standing out amongst the other really good players we already have on defense. She also said Tyler Owens, someone to keep an eye on. She said that twice. And also, wide receiver Jalen Lane is looking like the Commanders' starting punt returner already. I love to hear that. Yes, sir. I want to hear that. So Jalen Lane is already your starting punt returner. He still has a long ways to go, it sounds like, offensively, but punt return wise, he's ready day 1. So I love to hear that, man. You got a starting punt returner and a potential high ceiling receiver in the 4th round, a starting corner in the 2nd round, a starting tackle in the 1st round, maybe even a starting running back in the 7th round. We'll see. Also, speaking of a starting corner in the 2nd round, Skylar Nelson said that cornerback Trinavian Amos had a pick today, of course. Well, that was yesterday. The pick was off of Jaden Daniels in the end zone. Definitely another guy to keep an eye on. Amos so far in camp has been showing ball skills, explosiveness, length, and speed. Sounds like everything you need to be an elite corner in the NFL to me. Then also Dula said his observations from day 3 of training camp. Defense clearly won the day. DB's balled out of control. Wagner showed youth getting a beautiful pick, but also Dietrich Wise had a great edge stop on a screen pass. So Dietrich Wise, hey, y'all not about to just completely outshine me. I'm gonna make some plays as well. I was a starting edge rusher for the Patriots for the past how many ever years for a reason. He said offensively, Sinan and Deebo flashed to me, even though the defense had the better day. So that's interesting. Even though the defense had a really good day, apparently Ben Sinan and Deebo still stood out among the offensive players that had great days. That's really important, especially Deebo Samuel. You traded for him. Ben Sinan, you're hoping he takes that next step because Zach Ertz can't play forever. That is big time. And then John Com, of course, had his entire video breaking down training camp. And in the tweet promoting it, he said D-line work, offensive line alignments, Josh Connolly, smart play by the defense, Sainristil, Quan Martin, and he even mentioned Dietrich Wise as well. But he also said sloppy play from the offense. And then I have some random updates for you as well. First of all, you have this clip right here of Jaden Daniels hanging out with Mike Sainristil's daughter after practice. And again, the relationship between Mike Sainristil and Jaden Daniels is beautiful, man. And again, the fact that Mike Sainristil rubbed it in a little bit after he got that interception on Jaden Daniels, I just love the relationship they got, man. And for Jaden Daniels to be hanging around Mike Sainristil's daughter. And also, speaking of that, man, Mike Sainristil and his wife announced that they got married earlier this week, and they have a baby daughter and another child on the way. So shouts out to Sainristil and his family, man. Shouts out to him standing out amongst all of we already have a bunch of lions and wolves on the defense. The fact that he's standing out amongst those guys is one of the leaders of the pack. I love to hear that, man. It's so beautiful. And then the family thing, man. So Sainristil, man, great player, happy guy on and off the field. I'm loving what I'm hearing. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell. next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, I'm always going to have y'all with every piece of Commanders information that's out there. And now that we finally have a day off of practice, it's going to allow me to catch up on some other things. I want to talk about the new stadium updates. I want to talk about the new locker rooms and everything and how they look. I want to even do a breakdown of the biggest winners and losers from training camp practices so far. We've only had 3 practices, but I feel like now that we're catching a break of a day, I feel like it's a good time to be like, okay, so who's standing out the most so far? So just be on the lookout for content like that throughout today and tonight and stuff like that. And then also, of course, man, if you made it this far in the video, salute to you, really appreciate you. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. And also, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Do you feel like we need to be worried about the offense? Do you feel like this is more so because the offense was bad or because the defense got better? I'm definitely more so leaning towards the side that the defense got better, but let me know how y'all feel. Let me know how you feel about everything. Chris Rodriguez becoming a better pass blocker. Ben Simmons and Deebo Samuel really standing out amongst the offensive players even on a bad day. Our DBs looking great. Bobby Wagner turning back the clock. Von Miller and Larry Tunsil showing you why you prioritize getting them this offseason. Let me know how you feel about everything, man. I really appreciate y'all. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.